Hello, welcome to my channel once again. In the last video, we saw group claims. In this video, what we want to do is we want to work with a web app on Azure. So previously, we have been running our application locally. So I've been using the internal server, the local host in my computer to run the application. But in this video, we want to use a web app that is hosted on Azure, and we'll publish our code to that web app. And another thing that we are going to be doing differently in this video is that instead of running our scaffolded item, let me share my screen. So I'm going to Visual Studio now. Yeah, so previously, we were adding a new scaffolded item, and we've been using the Microsoft Identity platform from Visual Studio to set up our identity pages and authentication. But in this video, we are going to be using what what Azure AD Authentication provide. That will be what we will be using. So it makes our code simpler. Just follow me. If you follow me, you won't be lost. Just follow me and you get all what we need to do. If not, you would think that all our videos, they are all the same thing, but they are not. There are key differences. So, previously we right-clicked, we went to add, and we went to new scaffolded item, and we use this to set up our login and logout pages. But in this video, we are not going to be doing that manually. We want to do all that from Azure. So even though I wouldn't be writing the code from the absolute scratch, but I'll let you know what I did from the absolute scratch, and I'll guide you to arriving at the end result. So what we simply have here is just launch Visual Studio, go to create a new MVC application, a web app MVC application. So you click on File, New, and New Project, and an MVC application. That's basically what we have here. And it's kind of like the default code that came with it. That's basically what we have here. The only thing you should take note of, key thing you need to take note of, is this line here, because this is referencing this particular parameter in our app setting.json file. So we are still going to come back to this. Just take note of this, and it's basically the default code that we have. So it's basically what we have here. Then so in your app setting.json, so all you just need to do, this was the only thing I added, just this. All this will be here by default. So your instance remains the same. Tenant ID is for your Azure account. So the tenant ID will be the same for your own case study. Then the client ID and client secrets. So this is the interesting part, because I am not creating an application object. I said earlier on that unlike the previous videos where we were manually creating an application object and generating a client secret, over here is being done for us because we want Azure AD Authentication to do all of that for us. So I'll show you how this is generated very shortly when I move over to my Azure portal. Then the layout file, the layout.cshtml file. So this is the default layout that came. The only thing that I added was this line. So the logout button. So there was no logout button. It didn't come with a logout button. So I just added this line, and that's all. Every other thing here was what came with the MVC template. So I didn't change any other thing. The controller remains the same. The model remains the same. So nothing else, is all default code, because we are only interested in adding authentication and authorization to a web app that is in Azure. And we do not want to do it from the absolute scratch on our end. We want Microsoft to handle the login, logouts as well for us. So let me go switch over to my Azure portal. Before I do that, so basically what you just need to do when you are done with the code is to right click over here, publish, come over to publish. Where's publish? Publish. Then you can see I just published it. Then you click on publish, and that will be it. So let me go to my portal. Yeah, so this is my portal. One thing you need to have ready is you need to provision a web app. So if I should go over to my home, then you come over to create a resource, web app, create. So you need to just have a web app created that contains the default code. Then you can now push your code from Visual Studio to it. So you um give it a resource group, give it a name. I already have a web app, but I just wanted you to see this. Then the publish profile, you choose code because we are pushing it from our codes from our Visual Studio. Then ASP.NET, I'm using 6, you can use 8. 8 is also fine. Then Windows, my OS is Windows, and that's what I have in my Visual Studio. Then the plan, all this is fine. Then you can now review and create, and you will have your web app created by doing that. So after you've provisioned your web app, when it's created, what you need to do is you come over here. So this is the overview page. So from the overview page, what you need to do is you scroll down to authentication. Then from authentication, you would add a platform. You just add a provider rather. So when you click on add a provider, you will be able to choose the provider you want. Microsoft is what we are working with. So you scroll down. So there are different providers. I already added Microsoft. That's why it's grayed out. So if you want to add, you want people to log in with their Facebook, you can choose Facebook, you can choose Google or Twitter or any other. But for now, I'm working with just Microsoft. So you would add this. So the moment you add this, then automatically it would create an application object for you. You can see this application object. So I didn't need to create an application object from Active Directory. It's generated it for me, and I can also get a secret from this. So you take note of this client ID because this will be what you will be using in your app setting.json. So if I should modify this, let me just show you how to get your secrets. So after modifying this, you come over here to click to edit secret value. So you click on this. Then you can now choose under this Microsoft provider authentication, you click to show value. So this is the one where I'm interested in. So yeah, I can click on it so that I'll be able to copy. Yeah, okay. So I can then copy this and paste in my Visual Studio as my client secrets. So that's what we need to do here. So that's basically what needs to be done here. Then if you should now go to your application objects, if you should go to your application object, so let me go to Entra ID. When you open Entra ID, you scroll down to application objects, you'll see that there is already an application object created for you, an app registration created for you. This app registration, I didn't create it manually. It was created for me by when I added Microsoft as a platform from the web app. So this is the aspect that we are delegating to Azure. We are not doing it ourselves like our previous videos. So after doing this, this is the application object, similar to what we had previously. And if you can recall, in the previous videos, when we come over to authentication, we needed to add endpoints. But now you can see that the endpoints have been added for us by default by Microsoft Azure. So if Microsoft can do it for us, there's no point using the more technical routes. So this works very well. Microsoft have done it for us. This was generated by Microsoft, and we do not need to be adding several ports when we're hosting in in localhost. So we added this. Then the only thing that I added manually was the logout URL. So I added this manually. It's similar to what we have here, just that logout was not included. So you just copy it and paste it here and put /logout. So that was basically it. Then when I ran this initially, so I was having an error. So I had to Google around and I found the solution over here. This is the page that I used to resolve the issue. So this document tells you what you need to do. I followed it and it's eventually worked as appropriate. I do not want to start explaining what this is because of our time. I want this video to be short and I want to focus on what we need to do. So, but basically, what you need to do to be sure that it works, if you are facing a similar error that is saying that, so let's just look at the error. It's saying that web deployment task failed. So it was connected to the remote computer. It was connected using the web management service, but could not authorize. Make sure that using the username, password, blah, blah, blah. So this was the error message that I was seeing when I was trying to publish to Microsoft Azure. So this error message is not, it wasn't at compile time, it wasn't at build time, it was at the point of pushing to Microsoft Azure. So what needed to be done was you need to come over to um configuration. Is it configuration? Yeah. Come over to configuration under configuration under setting, come to configuration. Yeah, so you click on scroll down and ensure that your SCM basic authentication and FTP basic authentication are turned on. Ensure this is turned on. It was turned off by default. Ensure it is turned on. So afterwards, you go to deployment. It should be up. Deployment center. Come over to deployment center. Then you need to set a username and a password that needs to be reflected in your published profile in Visual Studio. So you come over to FTPS credentials, then you scroll down and give it a username and a password. This was not set by default. By default, you see redacted as the username and the password will also be empty. So give it a username and a password, confirm the password as well. Then you click on save. Then afterward, this is very important. If not, you would be getting the errors that I was getting. Then you stop. Okay, let me now show you how you reflect it in Visual Studio. So you come over to your Visual Studio. Then when you go to Alt, Show All Settings, I believe you can see my Visual Studio screen now. Show All Setting. Then you click on Connection, and you can now enter, you should now enter that same password that you entered in your Azure portal. You enter it here, then you validate your connection, and if everything is fine, then you'll be good to go. So that's basically what you need to do. Then let me just show you that over here, the client ID that was generated for you is what you should put slots in here, and the client secret as well is what you should slot in here. So the client ID and client secret that was created for you by Microsoft, by Azure AD, is what you should use. Yeah, not the manual way that we were working with previously. Yeah, so basically, I think we can test our application now. So this is a lot cleaner. This is a lot cleaner. It ensures that we are focusing on what we need to focus on compared to the previous application where I needed to be um, creating application object, and also even the application objects aspect wasn't even where it got complicated. It was the process of adding a scaffolding item, and you needed to be, you can see that for my code here, I didn't need to import a lot of packages compared to the previous one. The previous one, we had Microsoft Identity Web UI and a lot of other packages. It was a whole lot. But now we are basically, I only imported identity.web, which is a lot, um, it makes our code a lot cleaner. So what I will do now is let me just run the code, and you'll see that it actually works, and we can end the video. So basically, this video is all about using Azure AD authentication. Azure AD authentication. So let me share my screen. Yeah, so let me go over to my web app. Yeah, I'm already there. Let me go to the overview. Let me copy the URL. This is the default domain, so I'm copying the URL. Then let's paste it over here. Pasting the URL now. And you can see it works. This is the default page for um for our web app. And if I want to log out, I'll just click on this and I can log out. The redirect endpoint also works well. Yeah, so just to let you know that this is really from Visual Studio. Let me make a little more modification to my Visual Studio, and I'll publish the changes, and we'll see that it is being reflected. So let me go over to Visual Studio now. I hope this video wouldn't be so long. I want to make a little modification. Let me go over to my layout page. Okay, so instead of logout, instead of it being called logout, let me call it let me change my logout button to frank logout, frankly logout. Let me change it to frankly logout, and let me save this. So it should be frankly logout now, all things being equal. Then let me go over to publish. Did I make any change to startup? Why is it saying that I need to save? Okay, doesn't matter. Let me go over to publish, and I'll just click on publish again. So I'm publishing now. So it's asking me for password. Yeah, so note that I changed the logout to frankly logout. So that's just the only difference I made. So it is publishing now. Yeah, it's publishing, it's publishing, it's publishing. So the application is opening now. So the publishing is done. So now let me share my screen for the application so that you can see it. Yeah, and now you can see frankly logout. You can see it's now frankly logout instead of just logout. And if I should click on this, it does the same thing. It logs me out. So you can see it works perfectly. It works perfectly. So that's the end of this video. I hope you gain one or two things, and in our next video we'll continue to explore what if you find it informative, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. Have a nice day.